Well, are you specifically speaking of the offense or just in general?
Just in general, and
Yeah,
the offense too.
I think our reaction to to losing, which is not a reaction you like to find out about, but it's been good. The guys, we've had good. This has been our best week of practice so far. In a lot of ways, today was our best Thursday. Just the focus and the things that we ask out of those guys on Thursday, and then the tempo. Was a little bit over. There's a little bit of an overreaction, I think, to that. Just in terms of things you're going to do against Michigan State are a little bit different than some other teams. And again, part of that was our game plan, and part of that is what they do. There's not a tremendous advantage in a few of those things, although we did have some big plays with tempo. But that's just going to be a weekly thing, going forward.
I would assume this isn't a team that you have to overlook, and you don't have to tell the team that this is a team you can't overlook.
We don't. We really, and I've said this before, nobody believes us. We don't really talk about the other team very much. Certainly you're going to talk about the percentages of whatever, run pass and to this guy, and all the things that you talk about from a tendency standpoint. But then they just become X's and O's and moving parts, and you focus on yourself. And the better that you can do that, you're the thing that I was talking about is a constant ascension, and you don't think about other people.
Does practicing indoors change the flow, the approach to practice at all?
A little bit. I wanted to get in there yesterday just because we hadn't had to do that at all. We've been outside every day, and once we go to school, there'll be times obviously where we we'll have to, and just wanted to get in there to get the kinks out of. Yeah, there's just a little bit of a different flow. It's a faster flow really because you don't move as far from transitioning from drill to drill. The kicking game's a little bit different. Stuff hits the ceiling and all that kind of stuff. And so just getting used to that for a lot of guys that hadn't been in there.
Do you know right now who's going to be starting at quarterback on Saturday, or when you say game time, it truly is a game time decision?
Maybe not. We'll find out. I mean, it's both guys have done really good things. Taylor, one of the two. Tyler Johnstone, if you combine him with Taylor Alley. But we'll figure it out.
What have you seen from Paris Bostic at safety so far? He looks like an incredible athlete possibly, but how is he doing mentally with that position change?
Well, he's doing mentally, I think, probably on par with guys that switch this late.
Yeah.
He does have the background of having played the position before, and so that helps. But you're still learning the checks and the instant communication that has to happen, especially in Autzen Stadium, is a nonverbal thing because they can't hear each other. And so those things, of being able to play fully just instinctively rather than thinking first and doing all that's yet to come.
Given coming off a loss, do you notice that this team, or maybe teams that you've coached in the past, have approached games and approached the next game after a loss and become a little more antsy, a little more excited to get back out on the field and erase what happened the week before?
I'm sure to a certain extent that exists. I think the great part about it is they were excited to prepare, and that's people always talk about the pregame speech. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's when you need to have your pregame speeches. You need to have those guys need to be motivated to prepare to have a chance to go out and be successful. And I think that started on Saturday night in the locker room, and guys looking each other in the eye and just talking about what was to come rather than dwelling. And we have a 11 a.m. kick, so that's the earliest we could probably get redemption.
Georgia's a pretty fertile recruiting ground. Even if they're getting guys even that Georgia and Georgia State are overlooking, what's the talent level like? I guess
talent level is really good. Yeah, they have a ton of guys that can run. They have a ton of speed on their special teams, which obviously they're skilled guys on both offense and defense, and they've got a really productive quarterback, and they have one receiver that's played tremendously well, another guy that I think is going to be coming back that has had a very successful career. So yeah, anytime you put, what is Atlanta, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, whatever, however big the Atlanta metro area is, there's a ton of great football. They have really good high school football. The schools are funded really well. There's all sorts of activities in addition to quality schools, and so those are usually quality guys.
Kanai and Tony, they look like such vital contributors in the week one. The next week they get very little run. What goes into a decision like that? Is it just kind of what Michigan State's looking at, or Is it because they're young guys? It's a big stage. I guess-
Yes and no. I think more confidence in Royce, and we didn't have a ton of plays, and so it wasn't like it was build up and hey, we need to that for good or for bad didn't happen, and then we have no hesitation on those guys. They went in there and did some things that were unique game plan things that we trust them to execute, and those guys have very bright futures. Kanai's improved a ton, and Tony, Tony is still he's gonna be a great player when it's all said and done too. He's just needs some experience.
Is part of the appeal for Royce is that if the line isn't kind of giving you guys clean holes, that he can simply run over a guy, be more elusive. That's why you want to stick with him as much as possible.
Well, he's just really good. Yeah, I mean, and not that those other guys aren't, but he's our number one guy, and yeah, he's at this point he's a bigger, faster, stronger version of those guys with more experience and protections and all those things. But again, like I said, we have a ton of trust in those guys, and hopefully Taj Griffin can join the fray as well.
Sure. Does that 11 a.m. kick change the routine at all since it's earlier?
It's perfect for us. It's like it's the same time we train, and so it's perfect timing. Hopefully it works out for your tailgating needs. But yeah, we'll treat we just basically back up our pregame routine from kickoff, and it's literally exactly what we would do on a training day. So we'll treat it kind of like that.
Breakfast burrito.
There you go.
What are you going to do with all that time after the game? 11 a.m. kickoff finishes what? Like you'll be done by 3:30 or something. What are you going to do with your night?
Well, we'll have some recruits in, dealing with all those guys, and then watch the other guys suffer later that night.
Hey, you guys for years I feel like use fourth down as kind of like a psychological advantage where you just pound teams fourth down. You get one and you eventually score. This year teams are kind of doing that to this defense. I think 5 times they've extended drives and that led to a touchdown. What kind of advantage is that just mentally? Do you see a defense kind of break to sag when a fourth down gets converted?
Well, you want to respond, whether it's great or bad. And yeah, I mean, fourth down conversions are, like you said, drive extenders. They're touchdown, possibilities rather than field goals. There's definitely a mentality about it that we talk about all the time, and we want our guys to be, we want our defense to be excited to run out on the field after a turnover. We want our offense to be excited to run out after the opponent has scored a touchdown, which that's not normal, but we want that kind of reaction, and we need to convert better offensively and shut them out more defensively.